In 1881, a 29-year-old Kansas man named James R. Williams and his Swedish wife Carolyn were living in Los Angeles and looking to expand his cattle territory. They settled in the Santa Susana district and cultivated a portion of the land for hay, potatoes, and beehives. They were early pioneers of the area now called Chatsworth. Caroline asked her sister, Augusta, to help her with the kids when she was pregnant. James talked his sister-in-law into taking up the Homestead Act to extend their family boundaries. The Homestead Act, signed into law by President Lincoln, allowed any citizen or intended citizen over 21 to seize 160 acres of federal land in the West. In return, the homesteaders would pay a slight fee, live on the property, and make improvements. Augusta lived in a small lean-to shack, and her neighbors supplied her with a cow and chickens and promised to give her more. After 5 years, Augusta stuck it out and farmed the rocky soil, and Carl Iverson, an immigrant from Norway, visited one day. Carl was hiking after a long week of work on a dam in Devil's Canyon on the Charlton Ranch. In 1888, Augusta and Carl married and have 5 children, including 2 sets of twins who worked on their growing farm. The land produced potatoes, figs, grapes, and watermelons. However, the sandstone rock-strewn area was challenging to manage, and the Iversons did not see its financial viability until about 1912, when the California Aqueduct brought water and settlers to the San Fernando Valley. Shortly after, director C.C. B. DeMille proposed shooting a silent western at the ranch, and the Iverson family jumped at the opportunity. Carl, Augusta, and sons Joe and Aaron would manage the ranch, and extra parcels were added, including a portion of James Williams. Interestingly, the remaining Williams property would later include the notorious Spawn Ranch. Meanwhile, the Iverson Ranch attracted filmmakers for its rock outcroppings, scenic trails, rugged chaparral, and oak tree landscape. The family would add on adobe houses and ranch settings, complete with bunkhouses, barns, and outbuildings. A western street and many smaller houses could be used for miners, outlaws, or stagecoach stops. While not the first film, William S. Hart's A Silent Man in 1917 was a notable early one. By 1927, the ranch was owned by sons Joe and Aaron, and reportedly in the next 10 years, they would be bringing in $50,000 annually. B Westerns were given a discount of $150 per camera per day, but they kept a tight rope around incidentals for most major pictures, including 50 cents per person, 25 cents per horse, $1 to $2 for vehicles depending on size, and $100 for each additional camera and generator. Electrical and water were also extra. Wisely, the Iversons included a clause stating that all sets would not be torn down, with the possibility of reuse after 2 years. Because of this, it was estimated the Iversons had over $1 million worth of filmmaking magic they could do with whatever they wanted. Historians estimate that over 3,000 motion pictures and television shows were filmed at the Iverson Movie Ranch, with Chatsworth Peak, Rocky Peak, and Oat Mountain as backdrops. Unfortunately, in 1962, the ranch was divided in half, with Joe operating the lower portion and Aaron operating the upper part. Further dissection came from the construction of the Simi Valley Freeway. Iverson Ranch ended when filmmakers could no longer ignore the freeway traffic. Also in the 1960s, rumors swirled that Ray Kroc of McDonald's fame was looking to create his own amusement park around the site, akin to Walt Disney, whom he knew from serving in the same troupe in France. It was all out of spite, they thought, and quickly failed, as Kroc wanted McDonald's at Disney, but the deal fell through. Allegedly, Kroc also pitched a Lowry's prime rib atop Stony Point, but thankfully this also did not happen. In the 1980s, Joe sold his land to a developer, and eventually it was divided again into 3 parts: upper, ranch set, and lower, including 23 public acres of the ranch called Garden of the Gods. It was acquired by the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy in 1987. The park entrance is across the street from the Lone Ranger Rock, where Clayton Moore rode up a hill and Silver reared for the introduction of the TV show. But the park is a who's who's list of famous Western stars, from Rex Allen, Gene Autry, Hopalong Cassidy, William Hart, Hoot Gibson, Buck Jones, Lash LaRue, Tom Mix, Roy Rogers, and many more. Historically, the old stagecoach route connecting Simi Valley ran through the park, and nearby Stony Point marks the site of the Tongva village of Momonga, a trading area for the neighboring Tataviam and Chumash people. This has been Biographies of the West. My name is Lorin Morgan-Richards. Thanks for watching.